Good guys, welcome back to my stuff. Today we have a different one, okay? We have a little we're going a different direction in this one, okay? I know you guys have seen the Quiet on Set thing, the Nickelodeon thing, alright? If you guys are in my generation, that's what we grew up on, alright? That, Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, those were the big three. And HBO Max came out with this thing called Quiet on Set. I have not watched it. I've seen some clips all over my For You pages and all like shit like that, but I would skip past it because I wanted to save it so I can react to it for you guys, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to watch 12 Disturbing Allegations in Quiet on Set, the dark side of kids' TV. Let's give it a go.
Children who grew up in the 90s and 2000s, they enjoyed watching television shows such as Drake and Josh, The Amanda Show, All That, iCarly, and so many more like it. All were popular shows on the children's television network Nickelodeon, and all were produced by Dan Schneider. But in an explosive new docuseries, former writers, crew members, and other former child actors have come forward with allegations of a toxic workplace culture and harassment against the network's most successful producer. But that wasn't the only bombshell revealed during the docuseries. The biggest revelation arguably came from one of its former stars who spoke out for the first time about his experience of being sexually abused, allegedly by a dialogue coach who previously worked at the network. Investigation Discovery's latest docuseries, Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, gives viewers an inside look into the allegations of toxic workplace culture in many children's TV series produced in the 90s and 2000s by Dan Schneider.
Motherfucker's ugly as fuck.
Those allegations came from a former writer for the hit children's series The Amanda Show, Jenny Cleggan, who was one of two female writers employed for the show. She claimed Schneider would show pornography from his computer. Cleggan said he would pressure the two female writers to publicly perform seemingly sexually explicit activities in front of coworkers, including asking the other female writer, Christy Stratton, to tell a story as if she's being sodomized. Stratton, who was also interviewed for this series, didn't want to speak on the incident, only saying she's not proud of it. She said working for Schneider was like being in an abusive relationship. Cleggan also discussed the inappropriate meaning behind a popular Amanda Show character's last name, Penelope Taint. She claimed that in the writer's room, Schneider said he wanted to keep the true meaning behind the character's last name a secret and said, "Don't tell what the word really means," in reference to a meaning about male genitalia. In addition,
If y'all don't know what a taint is, bro, do me a favor, look it up, alright? Look up what a taint is, or I'm pretty sure they're probably going to say it in this video.
the two writers for the hit children's series say they both had to split a single salary between the two of them. Jenny Cleggan would later go on to sue the show's production company, alleging gender discrimination, harassment, and hostile work environment. The lawsuit was ultimately settled.
I mean, when somebody's in a position of power, that means they have something they can take or give away. And if you're in that subordinate position, it can be extremely frightening.
Dr. Joni Johnston is a forensic psychologist. As she explained, oftentimes it takes several complaints against a person in power for it to be taken seriously.
We all know people who spoke up and were ostracized or were punished in some way. And it oftentimes takes a certain amount or number of people to keep talking and keep complaining before action is taken. And sometimes the people who are leading the pack are the ones who get stepped on. You know, they're the ones who almost become the sacrificial lamb, if you will, for people who then eventually are able to get some momentum and get some change. And so those concerns are valid concerns. I mean, we need to work to the point where there shouldn't be valid concerns, that everybody knows that there's safety there and there's legitimate people to listen and take those seriously. But that has not been our history. And so it's understandable that those concerns are there.
In addition to those claims, former crew members on several hit Nickelodeon shows allege Schneider pressured female staffers to give him massages. Some also now find it inappropriate Schneider appeared in skits with Amanda Bynes, referring to the skit where the two were in a hot tub. Bynes would appear in a swimsuit while Schneider appeared fully clothed. Some former child actors who appeared in the docuseries said Schneider developed a close relationship with Bynes, appearing to mentor and run lines with her as the two were reportedly often alone together numerous times while on set. Has since defended his relationship with Bynes, who didn't appear in the docuseries. He said he supported Bynes' decision.
Alright, yo, when I was a little kid, bro, I had a huge fucking crush on Amanda Bynes, I ain't gonna lie. She was the hottest fucking person around town, you know what I'm saying? But listen, I was a little kid back then. I didn't know that me and Dan Schneider had the same crush. This dude's like 30 years older than me, bro.
emancipate from her parents and assisted her when she attempted to run away from home. Former child actors and alums from another Nickelodeon series, All That, shared their experience as being the few black actors working with Schneider on the show in the early 2000s. Brian Hearn, who starred on All That, believed he was racially stereotyped by appearing in sketches which featured him as a rapper named Little Fetus and a teen who sold cookies but played the sketch seemingly referring to drug dealing. He said he was referred to as a piece of charcoal and was uncomfortable wearing the leotard costume as a growing young teen at the time. Hearn also referred to a scene that stood out to him where he was covered in peanut butter for dogs to lick off as a dare. He can be heard in the clip saying he didn't like it, but the dare continued. The scene was for a sketch series called On Air Dare, which appeared as a kid's version of Fear Factor, which Hearn said after a while felt like they were a part of a torture chamber where they couldn't see.
This must have been before my time, because I do not remember this shit at all, bro. This must have been before my time. I'm 23 years old. I have no idea. I've never seen this show before.
Whether it's an adult or whether it's a teenager who has this dream of being a star, they're becoming a star, and they're probably being reminded on a regular basis, which is another part of this power dynamics, that, hey, if you leave, there's 1,000 more people lined up right behind you to take your spot. And they're aware of that. They know that I'm not in the position of power. And so if I come in and I speak up, what's going to happen to me is I might be out the door. And I know there are thousands of kids behind me who are just dying to step in here. So it just becomes so much is at stake, I think. And so it just becomes, yes, my dream is coming true and it's a nightmare. And yet, do I want to give up that dream? Is it going to get better? There's all these things I think that we tell ourselves.
Another former child actor for the series, Giovanni Samuels, spoke on one scene where they were required to drink large amounts of fake coffee and sugar, which she later said felt like waterboarding. The two said while they were kids, they were shocked to learn sexual predators had been employed on the show. One being
What the fuck?
Being a former production assistant, Jason Handy, who had worked on shows like All That and The Amanda Show. Handy was arrested in 2003 for kissing and touching a 9-year-old girl.
Oh, say goodbye.
For child abuse and child pornography. Handy had reportedly worked with many kids on the set. One parent of a former Amanda Show extra said her daughter had received explicit images sent by Handy. The docuseries then explores another convicted sexual predator who had worked on set as a dialogue coach named Brian Peck. He was convicted for sexual abuse in the same year as Handy. Peck had also appeared on the show All That as a recurring character.
These guys are fucking sick, bro. No, Bro, how the fuck do little weasels like this squeeze their way into Hollywood, bro? Tell me how they do that, bro. For real. Like, what is that? Why are there so many pedos in the Hollywood scene? That is crazy to me.
Called Pickle Boy, which former staffers and actors looking back,
they're all rich as fuck.
Inappropriate mean.
They can get any girl in the world. You're rich as fuck, bro. You can get an of-age female. That's disgusting, bro. That is so sick.
That at the time they may have shrugged off as a quirky Schneider joke. One of the series' former cast members said Peck had a signed self-portrait painting of serial killer John Wayne Gacy at his home, which he bragged about, and even had a collection of letters from the killer clown. During his time at Nickelodeon, Peck would later go on to work with former child actor Drake Bell, who appeared in The Amanda Show and later starred in his own show, Drake and Josh. In arguably the most shocking revelation, Bell alleges Peck subjected him to extensive and brutal sexual abuse during his time as his dialogue coach. Bell said the abuse began when Peck drove a wedge between he and his father, who was his manager at the time. Bell's father, who appeared in the series, said that he believed Peck was dangerous, and the wedge which was created between them generated an environment where Peck would prey upon a then 14-year-old Drake Bell. Bell's father said he went to production about his concerns about Peck, but claimed they went unanswered. Bell would later go on to fire his father and live with his mother, who technically took over the managerial responsibilities in Orange County. But then Peck took on the role of driving the actor to and from set and to auditions, sometimes keeping Bell at his home overnight. Bell says that's when the abuse began. Bell, who appeared visibly uncomfortable while recounting sexual abuse, didn't go into heavy detail on camera. He told the interviewer, "Imagine the worst stuff that someone could do to somebody as a sexual assault, and that will answer your question."
He took it in the ass! No! Bring back the death penalty! Bring back the death penalty! All these guys need to die! They need to die, seriously. Seriously. He put it in Drake's ass. He put it in Drake's ass. He was 11 years old at the time. No, fuck that, bro. Oh my God. Bring back the death penalty, bro. They need to die, bro. They don't need to die. They need to be tortured until they kill themselves. All right? That is crazy, bro. A little ass kid.
Bell said the abuse was not a one-time incident, and he remembered feeling trapped with no way out.
Well, you're certainly describing really clearly one form of grooming, which is taking children, or young teenagers, and you befriend them at first and you develop a relationship. You talk about how special they are and you're going to be the big star, et cetera, et cetera. You become buddies with that person. They start to trust you. And then over time, that relationship starts progressing and that person starts, encroaching boundaries, encroaching them a little, smaller.
If I'm his father, fuck it. I don't give a fuck, dude. I'm going on the dark web. I'm buying a rocket launcher. Nah, wait, hold up. Not a rocket launcher. Because there's some innocent people in there. I can't just blow up the whole fucking thing. But listen, I don't care. I will kill. If I was the father, I'm killing everyone in that motherfucking bitch. And then I'm killing myself. I don't care. So I'm dead ass.
Smaller a little bit at a time. And of course, it's only to their advantage to disconnect them or isolate them as much as possible from other people who might see your agenda or have their own agenda in terms of protecting their child. So that's something that you see child predators in a number of settings do. Referring that. And then when you think about developmentally, you think about young teenagers and you think about their goal really is to, it's to find out who they are. And so part of being a teenager is rebelling a little bit against your parents, right? I don't know who I am yet, but I'm not you, Mom. I'm not you, Dad. That's just part of that natural process. And so it creates a especially vulnerable situation in terms of this teenager who is looking to other people to kind of help define who they are. And then if you have a predator who's there, it's, again, another...
I can't fucking look at this dude's face anymore, bro.
For them to befriend this person. I'm going to help you with your career. You're going to be a star.
This fucking smile,
we're buddies. Which it should never be that way. You're not a buddy. If you're in your 30s and somebody's 15, you're not a buddy. You could be a coach. You could be, but you're not a buddy. And when you start acting like a buddy, that's a red flag.
Bell said he was afraid to speak out. The mother of his girlfriend at the time caught on that something might be going on when Peck called her house and Bell's cell phone numerous times, which she didn't feel was normal. Bell said he later revealed with his own mother the sexual abuse that was going on, and she later called the cops. Peck was ultimately arrested after he confessed on a recorded line. Bell's father said at the time he was relieved the arrest happened, but didn't find out his son was the victim in the case until years later. Peck pleaded no contest to oral copulation with the minor and performing a lewd act with a 14 or 15-year-old. Bell's identity as the victim in the case was not made public at the time, and according to Bell, Schneider was not aware Bell was Peck's victim until Bell confided in him. In the series, Bell would credit Schneider for offering support to him. Peck would only spend 16 months in prison and was later required to register as a sex offender. Following his sentence, Peck was later hired to work on the Disney Channel's children's show, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Oh my God. He put it in his ass, right? Because Drake said the worst thing you can think of is what he did to him. That gotta be the worst thing, bro. How do you only have 16 weeks in jail, bro? How do you only have 16 weeks in jail? You should be in jail for life, dude. To this day, you should still be in that shit fucking getting raped. Oh my God, that is disgusting, bro. How, bro? I don't get it. This world is so fucked up. My childhood is ruined.
Wrote letters of support for Peck and submitted them to the courts. Some of the names revealed included James Marsden, Alan Thicke, Boy Meets World stars Will Friedle and Ryder Strong, as well as Amanda Show and Saturday Night Live alum Taram Kellam.
I mean, children should be believed, particularly a child who's come forward. I mean, it takes so much courage to come forward, to testify, to go before a judge. I mean, I have such respect for him and for his family for going through that process because it so, unfortunately, so rarely still happens. And it's so unfortunate because I know in interviews, that's one of the things that really seems to have haunted Drake Bell is, talking about being in this courtroom and seeing his mom essentially, or his family being on his side, and then seeing this kind of courtroom full of supporters.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
think that would be, again, a secondary trauma for him.
Yeah,
No
that's
matter
so
how much
fucked.
people knew or believed or whatever, just feeling that lack of support would just be really traumatizing.
In a statement,
And why
Nickel
are they supporting that guy too? Like, why are they there to support the guy who fucking whatever his name is, Peck something Peck? That's just disgusting, bro. That's how you know, bro. They're all locked in, bro. They're all locked in. The dark side of kids TV. On God, they're all locked in. They all have done scummy shit, and they all cover it up, and they all have each other's back because if one person gets exposed, they all get exposed. You know what I'm saying?
said in part they were dismayed and saddened to learn about the trauma Bell endured and said that they commend his strength and support to come forward. Bell himself admitted he later went on a downward spiral as a response to the trauma. Bell said he self-medicated with drugs and alcohol. He was arrested on DUI, and in 2021 he pleaded guilty to child endangerment and was sentenced to 200 hours of community service.
Well, we certainly know that experiencing sexual abuse, particularly repeated sexual abuse, and particularly when it's perpetrated by somebody that you trusted, is a very, very traumatic experience for any child or any teenager.
God.
And it can have, lifelong impact, particularly if two things don't happen. If the child is not able to get some kind of therapy, some kind of help, and if they don't feel supported by the people around them. So I think what I call that is almost like cumulative trauma or secondary trauma. And so it's not that children don't recover from childhood sexual abuse, they do, but they need some very specific things to help them do that. And that is, again, some kind of professional help oftentimes, and certainly a loving and supportive network. And without that happening, then I think you're more likely to see a child who, as they grow up, they can either almost kind of be developmentally stuck back at that trauma age, and also can engage in some very destructive coping mechanisms, whether it's drugs or alcohol or, developing other kinds of addictions and those kinds of things. And so it's not so much, it is absolutely the trauma that happens, but it's also, again, the coping mechanisms that the person develops and the support system they have. What happens after the abuse is disclosed.
Meanwhile, Dan Schneider, who parted ways with Nickelodeon in 2018 after an internal investigation found evidence of verbal abuse toward its colleagues, following the release of the docuseries, Schneider apologized on a social media video about his role in the claims against him about a toxic workplace for child actors and the crew. In the 19-minute video, Schneider said he was embarrassed and regretful for his past behaviors.
Watching over the past 2 nights was very difficult, me facing my past behaviors, some of which are embarrassing and that I regret, and I definitely owe some people a pretty strong apology.
Let's talk about the massages.
Okay.
Watching the content yesterday, it was disturbing.
It was wrong. It was wrong that I ever put anybody in that position. It was the wrong thing to do. I'd never do it today. I'm embarrassed that I did it then. I apologize to anybody that I ever put in that situation. And even additionally...
Yo, buddy, we're not fucking buying it, buddy. We're not buying it, bro. I speak for everyone. I hope you burn in hell. I speak for everyone.
Apologize to the people who were walking around Video Village or wherever they happened, because there were lots of people there who witnessed it who also may have felt uncomfortable. So I owe them an apology as well.
Yeah.
Throughout the interview, Schneider appeared teary-eyed, especially recounting a time of helping Bell's family during the sexual abuse case. Schneider explained that he didn't hire Peck to work on all that, where he initially started his time on Nickelodeon. Schneider said in hindsight, some jokes crossed the line, but they were intended to be funny and for a children's audience. He said there are things he would have done differently, mainly the way he treated people on set.
When somebody apologizes, when they've been outed to some degree, there is always the question, what are you sorry for? Right? Are you sorry that these things happened? Are you now realizing the trauma that you created for people? I find it really difficult to believe that he wasn't aware of the trauma he was certainly putting on his employees by those kinds of requests and actions and things like that. Or are you sorry that you've kind of been outed? Are you sorry that these things have come to light? And that's very tricky. When somebody's genuinely sorry, you think, should it take something like this, a documentary, for them to come forward and say, I'm really sorry this happened, or at least approach the individuals privately and say, hey, this happened back A, B, and C. I really realized I was completely out of line. This was 20 years ago. I was on a power trip, whatever. I really apologize and take responsibility. I haven't heard anybody talking about that happening. So that's where I think it kind of calls into question, again, what are you sorry for?
Schneider said it was wrong for him to ask anyone to give him massages. While addressing the inappropriate jokes made in the writer's room, he said he would never do it today and no writer should feel uncomfortable. He said while watching the show, his heart broke when the former actors recalled their experience being uncomfortable in skits, such as on-air dares, ultimately apologizing for making them do anything they didn't want to do or weren't comfortable with.
I hope they all die. I hope they all die. Literally, bro. Literally, bro. That is the most sickening shit I've ever fucking seen in my life. That's crazy, bro. I remember back then watching all these shows, bro, and it was just like, dude, it was like the best fucking time of my life. You come home from school, turn on Nickelodeon, iCarly, fucking Drake and Josh, fucking Victorious. Like, dude, Nickelodeon had such good fucking shows, bro. And behind the scenes, this shit was happening, bro. That is so disgusting, bro. Honestly, I hope they all die. You feel me? I really do. And I know it's not good to wish death upon people. And I'm a man of God. And I love you, God. But these people deserve to die. Let me tell you that, bro. We're going to cut it there, guys. My childhood is ruined. Probably a lot of you guys out there's childhood is also ruined. But, yeah. Leave a like, leave a comment, and peace.